Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Work Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help businesses and connect you with the right people. Most of the time, we have somebody sitting in the studio with us live, at least one person, but today it's just me. And I am very excited to introduce you to Sean Connolly, who is the CEO with Scale Virtually. And boy, do we have a great story to share about the success, how I've utilized their services for just over a year, and the way in which they help build successful businesses. So on that note, please help me give a warm welcome to Sean Connolly. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. I really am excited for the conversation today.
Yeah, we are hoping, crossing my fingers, that we have somebody else, maybe a surprise guest is going to pop in the studio midway through, but we'll see if that pans out. If not, it's all about Scale Virtually and you, Sean. I would love for our listeners, for you to first tell us about Scale Virtually, just kind of the highlight, the summary reel. Then I want to hear a little bit about your background and how you landed there as CEO. And then we'll talk a little bit deeper about how you serve clients and who's the right fit and all that jazz. So take your time. We've got plenty of time.
Terrific. Well, just to tell you a little bit about Scale Virtually, what I noticed was a big gap in the marketplace when I was actually trying to find my first virtual assistant years ago. I had attempted to work with several different companies, and I was the CEO. I like to refer to that as the chief everything officer, where everything falls on your plate. And I was in a constant state of overwhelm and didn't have the systems and processes set up personally to even enable a VA to be effective in my business. And virtual staffing companies that I worked with did place virtual assistants with me. They were okay at best. And in addition to that, my lack of systems and processes really made them ineffective in my business because I didn't have the transparency that I needed, the training that I needed, all the things that make for having a good work environment for anybody that steps into. I was so busy just trying to catch up and delegate things without really good documentation that I realized there was a real need in the market. And what was the game changer for me is I actually hired a VA and we started documenting all of my processes. And that is the tipping point. That's literally when my businesses started growing exponentially. My quality of life improved. I don't like to admit this, but the truth was I had 3 young kids. I was hospitalized with actually chest pains 3 times from the amount of stress that I felt. And if anybody's ever been a flipper and worked with construction people and just dealt with the lies and, the people not being accountable, that really wore heavily on me because that was my business. I have a private equity in Chicago in which right now we're on pace to transact about $50 million worth of business. But back then I was lacking the systems and processes. So in an effort to kind of get all that underway, I worked with a virtual assistant, and then, fast forward to today, that was one virtual assistant. Now I think we have a team of like 25 that operate within my different companies that support all my business initiatives. And I'm very fortunate that this is crazy that I visualized this happening and now it's actually happening. I work about 1 hour a day in the company that's set to do about $50 million a year. And it's due to the systems, processes, and VAs that I have in place that have enabled me to do that. So that's kind of where I'm at today. Would love to jump into what Scale Virtually does at its core is we get in and we understand what your true business needs are. So let's just say, you're overwhelmed and you don't have any documentation in your business. Don't worry about it. We're the done for you service that'll come in, take you through our methodology, flush all that out for you with our 6 Sigma certified process engineer. And then we're going to find somebody ideally suited to do the job that we're going to put in place to do all that admin level work that, quite frankly, as the owner of a company, it's hard to let go of, usually because people don't have the right system that gives them transparency that it's being done right away. And that's what we create for you. Okay?
Yeah, more than okay. It's what we all need. Can you talk a little bit for our listeners and viewers who aren't familiar with you or even having ever used a virtual assistant? Who's the best fit? Is it industry agnostic? Are you looking for a specific vertical, size company, all that?
Great question. Well, first off, we specialize in real estate. I would say 90% of all of our clients are in that space, but our engineers can literally, we're a custom operation. So we're going to come in, we're going to take you through your methodology, whether you need a bookkeeper, a marketing person, an admin person, an executive assistant, a marketing assistant, a leasing coordinator. It doesn't matter what the role is. We're going to follow the same standard methodology to flesh out the requirements of that role and then document exactly what gets done in that role. And here's the big difference between, I would argue, our service and other services is we are going to build this out in a detailed way so that the documentation is dummy proof.
Yes.
So anybody could do it. And then we're going to make it comprehensive so that you get a report just like you probably get from your virtual assistant that shows you what they started the day with and what they're going to be working on, what they ended the day and what they accomplished, any challenges they had along the way, any statuses of any things that are task level that they're working on. So you have complete transparency. That is what I have found. And, to your point, I'm a control freak. If you saw inside my business, it's overwhelming for most people, the amount of data that I have on my company. But for me, that's what gives me comfort and lets me sleep easy at night, because I used to manage my business at the people level and at the task level. And now I manage at the numbers level. As long as my numbers are going in the direction they need to be, I don't have to manage at the people level or at the task level anymore. Because that's the evolution of growth. That's what I teach my team to manage to as well.
What a shift for you. What was it, the chest pains that had you say, I got to find the right people in the right seats and step away from this? What was the catalyst for making that decision to still know that you're going to be successful, want to manage at high level, but also bring on so many people to do the little things? And I don't mean little things, but you know what I mean, the projects and all the things that as a CEO, you don't need to be messing with.
Yeah. So what I have commonly found, and this is the situation I found myself in, most people don't know what a virtual assistant is capable of. If given the right system, it's really like limitless if you give them the right system. But they have to have the system to operate within.
Okay.
So what I guess what the catalyst was I had reached the furthest amount of growth that I was going to achieve physically by myself. And if I wanted to continue to grow, I needed to take a step back and start developing systems and procedure for other people to follow that was in line with what was best practice for my business that I had already been practicing. The problem for most people, and we get clients on the phone every day who go, you know what, Sean, I know we need this. We've had this for an initiative and we're going to do it. And then I talk to them 6 months later, I talk to them a year later, they've made no progress on it because the tyranny of the immediate with business just happens. And quite frankly, when it comes to process, we are world-class at it. So not only are we going to do it faster, easier, better, and less expensive than you could, we're going to, those are the things that we're going to bring to the table that, quite frankly, how many salespeople, they're usually the people that start a company, know how to develop operational procedure. 1% of the population maybe. And even then, this is what I found with the founder piece. And I have been told this throughout my career, Sean, you assume I know these things that you know, but it's only through your experiential knowledge that you know those. So when you develop operational procedure, you're going to leave steps out that you think are common knowledge that aren't to the average person. So we make sure that those get incorporated because our engineers are trained that if they can't make it through your process without talking to you themselves, that there's a gap in the process and they need to do an audit and figure out how to make sure that is accounted for, is what I would say.
That's a big missing piece for a lot of companies, big and small. Let's talk a little bit about what the cost is. What happens when we don't have those procedures in place? And I'll start by saying, for me, if I had to bring on an assistant and that person didn't work out, and I don't have proper SOPs in place and the structure in place to easily onboard somebody else, my time is sucked up by that over and over again. I'm speaking from experience, right? And so I'm grateful to Lee. I use your service, Scale Virtually. I mentioned in the kind of the welcome. I found out about Scale Virtually through Scott and Kyle McIntosh here at Mac 6, where my I'm in a co-work space, and they're with McMartin Investments. So they fit that larger clientele that you spoke to. And after Kyle, who's very much wired like me, said, "Oh my God, it's changed my life. Like, I've got this incredible assistant who thinks more like me than I do," right? And can capture and grab everything that I need to, so that the process and the procedures and the steps and the systems are all in place. And so, I needed the same thing with this business, and I continue to be pleasantly surprised and quite awed by Lee, who is my assistant. So I shared a little bit about my own experience, but let's talk from that perspective of what's the problem you solved when it's there around. What happens if you don't have processes and procedures? Even just on the hiring end of things, it's costly.
Yep, very good point. Well, we solve a couple things. So first off, if you don't know how to hire right, that's a big thing. And we have over 6,000 people that apply to work for our company on a monthly basis. Only the top 1% of those people make it through. If you make it to our training, 70% of those people will bounce out. In our training, we're doing a couple things. We're going to take them through the life cycle of a real estate transaction, all the different departments in property management. In addition to that, we're going to be training them on their individual discipline, and we're giving them cognitive level tests to determine what their critical thinking skills are. So we are literally taking 100 people and getting it down to the top 1%.
Wow.
Okay.
From how many a month?
6,000 down to 1. I'm sorry, 6,100 down to 1.
Yeah. Fascinating. I heard the ding dong in behind you, so take your time. Life doesn't stop when we're a guest on podcast, right? It continues.
Thank you.
I'll do a little tap dance or something. I will share as you get settled back in. Prior to opening Phoenix Business RadioX 7 years ago, I was a partner in a social media company, and we sold it, fortunately, for a good amount of money. Very pleased that we did that. Under 4 years, I was brought on as the COO, and I had to grow the team from 9 in-person content writers to over 100 across the U.S.
Wow.
And like you, when you described the chest pains and that sort of thing, I was driving an hour each way, 3 times a week. I was putting in easily 50, 60 hours. And if I could have duplicated even just half of me or a quarter of me, I don't think I would have landed in the hospital with a serious situation. They took my appendix. I had a major hysterectomy, and my body just kind of shut down because I was trying to do everything by myself. And it could have cost me my life. For a while there, they thought it might have been cancer. I just was, and since then, I've never been willing to risk my health and well-being. I had 3 kids at the time. They're now young adults, but they were fairly young. And I've never wanted to look back, which is why when Kyle said Scale Virtually has changed my life, it's made things so much easier for us. Our revenue has increased, right? Even though there's a little bit of an outgo when you're paying somebody fractionally or whatever you're doing to do this, or outsourcing, the increase in revenue alone was something that he was just magically looking forward to and saw it happen almost immediately. I think it was Jessa. Is Jessa his? Do you know offhand if that's who?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So that's a lot there. The doorbell's been taken care of. What shows up for you when I share just my story and my own personal angst around trying to do everything myself? It's a recipe for disaster.
It definitely was the place that I found myself in. And it's honestly the thing that I'm most excited about. I love business. Like, my pleasure reading is all business books. It's just what I love to do. So I love this job of being able to get on the phone with other entrepreneurs, figure out what their needs are, and remove the roadblocks for them that'll really help them do 2 things. Not only scale their business, but usually with an entrepreneur, we're so committed to our business. That's our baby. We don't want to let it fail, right? So the number one thing that I found with entrepreneurs, and I've had this conversation twice already in the last 2 days, is people have come to me and said, Sean, from the standpoint of where we're at, I have a real control issue. I've built this business all on my own. And what is the next level? And I said, well, the next level is you can't grow beyond yourself. but the transparency that we can provide you with the reporting of what that VA is going to do. And if we work with you to detail out how you want that work done and you collaborate with us to do that, now you have a tool that is self-managing. Now you have a company that can grow. So there's two things that we really do that are the primary focus is, one, we create a scalable business for you. Like we can help add and bolt on whether you need help in marketing, in ops, in sales, it doesn't matter, in accounting. We can help in all those disciplines. So most entrepreneurs, when they start, they're strong maybe in sales and marketing, but they're not strong in ops or accounting. Well, we can come in and support in those areas where you need help. The other thing is, the truth of the matter is, until you have systems, you're never going to get the time to do the critical thinking, to do the strategic work on your company to really grow it. You just don't have the time. You're too busy putting out fires, dealing with the tyranny of the immediate. So once we do that, what is every entrepreneur's dream? They want time and financial freedom, right? But we're constantly chasing at a task level until we get to that next level. And then when we get to that next level, there's a book that I love to mention. And one of my coaches who is from my area, and I think one of the best entrepreneurial coaches in the world, his name is Dan Sullivan. He's written a book called Who Not How. And it talks about the difference between like millionaire thinkers and billionaire thinkers, right? A millionaire thinker thinks, how am I going to do this? What do I need to do this? A billionaire thinker thinks, who's going to do this for me? What systems do I need to have in place to support them to get it done? Okay. And I will just tell you, my transition in thinking that way, 10X is easier than 2X is another book that he wrote with Benjamin Hardy. Those philosophies, when you have VAs, when I have an army of VAs, I feel like business is limitless right now. Mm-hmm. I just need time and focus to figure out what the next piece is that I want to work with. I want to add to what I'm doing, and then I can attack it that way. Because I already have the systems component to it. I already have the people component to it. I just need to build the model around growing something. And that's the exciting thing that we get to do, because we get to work with so many amazing entrepreneurs that are really driven to want to grow their company, but they might have one or two roadblocks that we can help them remove to when they see huge scale. So I just had a client where we did a testimonial with him. He was doing $30,000 of monthly recurring revenue. Within 18 months, we took him to 150. And his plan, he said, in 1 year, he wants to be at 500,000. So to me, I get so excited with helping people do things like that, because what is that going to do? He's going to create more jobs. He's going to be able to spend more time with his family. He's going to be able to achieve the dream that, quite frankly, without our service would take him a lot longer to do. And me and my team, we get really excited about the opportunity to help people that are looking to scale and really looking to grow their businesses. We're going to be starting a community that is designed to kind of give people best practice around how to leverage a virtual assistant, how to build process. What are the critical components in different phases of growth in your business? Those are the things that we want to bring to the entrepreneurial community to help people achieve their dreams, get that time freedom, achieve the dream that they had for their business, because everybody has this vision for their business, but not many people reach that full potential because they get caught in the weeds, they get caught in the tyranny of the immediate, and they're not able to focus on that big level strategy that really moves the needle. And once you get your team thinking like that too, that's when it gets really exciting. Like that's what I have going on in my organization, what we've been able to build into a lot of the other organizations. And my teams are growing my companies now. It's very little of my time. You get to a certain point where the amount of effort you put in as a leader, it won't move the needle much, but your leadership, your systems, your training with the rest of the team, that's when you start seeing real exponential growth.
Okay, so many questions, so many thoughts running through my head. That was fantastic. You've used a phrase a couple of times, tyranny of the immediate. Is that a book? Did you read that somewhere? Is that Sean exclusive? Have you already bought the URL for it? Is a book in the works? I have so many questions about that phrase. I've never heard it before.
Well, the tyranny of the immediate is any entrepreneur that shows up for work and is like, yeah, this time block to do all this work. And then they show up and there's 20 problems, 20 emails that hit their inbox where they never even get to do the work.
Listen, I get what it means.
It's not coined by me. I've actually learned it from other people. And it's very fitting because I know so many of our clients feel that sense of overwhelm because every day we get on the phone and there's a couple things. And this is one thing I'd like to mention with virtual assistants. If you're going to try to do it on your own and you're going to go find a virtual assistant, we're a managed service that we're like done for you. We're going to build the process. We're going to put the VA in place. We're going to make sure the systems are right. They have a coach over them to support the relationship. We handle all the HR functions. But if you do it on your own, here's the challenge that I ran into when I started doing it. I was hiring people and I didn't know how to hire. Legitimately didn't know how to hire for the roles that I was placing for. In virtual assistants, if you offer them a job and you say, hey, look, you want to be a salesperson from an organization? Yes, Sean, that's exactly what I want to do. And then you ask them this question. If it was up to you to be doing admin work all day or be on the phone doing sales all day, which one would you choose? And they go, I'd love to be doing admin work. Well, I didn't have that question in my arsenal, and you wouldn't believe how many admin people I had doing sales for me, even though they had been in sales roles previously. It's really, now we have, we use a lot of different personality profiles to make sure that this person, this is what they love to do. In their downtime, this is what they would spend their time doing. It's their unique skill set. So we've been able to identify that through a series of testing so we don't mismatch people and don't waste a lot of time. Because if you make 2 wrong hires and those hires sit in your company for 4 to 6 months, you just wasted an entire year of your company's time. So as you stated before, the cost is extremely significant, as opposed to we have a proven track record of helping companies double and triple their business because we can put the systems right in place and we're the done for you service that can find the talent. So I feel like the cost benefit is far in the favor, and it's not for everybody. If you can't afford it and it's not the right time in your business, absolutely, do what's necessary. But if you want a catalyst for serious growth right out of the gate, I know we're the answer to that because we've done it time and time again with the clients we have. And we have a whole series of testimonials that are video case studies of how we've actually transformed businesses. And we commonly hear things like, Sean, I have 10 people on my team in accounting. The VA that I have is the all-star of the team. If I could replace 10 more VAs like the one that I have, I would do it. Like, they are literally the best person on our team. And what we're really doing is we're moving into global markets and we're identifying the best talent in those markets. In the economic scale, the pay is just different. So we're able to give a good, we provide health insurance, we provide life insurance. Our company won the Chicago Tribune 2023 Culture Award, and we're up, and I'm certain we're going to win it again in 2024. And that's a testament to my team. They are amazing at building in a culture. Imagine winning a culture award when you have a staff that is literally scattered site. It's the community that we're able to build. It's the training that we're able to provide. It's the opportunity that we bring to the table. As a company, we do a lot of great things, and we really care about the communities that we work in. We have a lending program set up where anybody who needs money at any time can step in and borrow from our company. We have a disaster relief fund set up where if we've rebuilt people's houses that got hit by typhoons, it's just the right thing to do and being a good steward in the industry. And we're so fortunate to work with the amazing people that we work with. They make it all possible. So we love the fact that we have the opportunity to do that.
Oh my gosh. I was going to say the same thing. How do you win a cultural award when your team is all over the place and they're working virtually, right? And they're part of your team, but they're also part of our team. And that's extraordinarily impressive. I can tell you, again, having Lee, just lock arms with me for the past year, I've had to scale down and scale up, given a handful of things that are going on in my business and my industry. And she's the one study that I've had, not because of price point, but because of she's my rock star. She's my all-star. And we've never met in person, right? So we go sometimes, sad for me to say, you're probably going to slap my hand when I say this, but we sometimes go 2 weeks without get on a Zoom call or a StreamYard call like this and really, hammer out where we're headed next, because she's so dialed in. She knows what her tasks are, her projects are. She brings new things to me. She keeps me organized. So we only need to meet a couple of times a month to really continue to be effective and grow. For our listeners and our viewers, where would they find these testimonies? You mentioned that you've done some video testimonies. I would love to, for somebody who's listening for this first time and really either has considered VA services or has had a crappy experience with them. Let's start there. Where can they, is this on the website? Is it on social? Where would they find those to say, look, listen to these conversations from these business owners who've succeeded with Scale Virtually?
Yeah, they're actually, if you go to scalevirtually.com and you look up testimonials, you'll hear a number of them. We have a bunch more that are not live on the site. When a client is in a particular avatar, what we'll usually do is send them avatar specific testimonials so that they can see if it's marketing, bookkeeping, executive assistant. We have breakdowns of different testimonials within those. So that's where you'd be able to find it.
Perfect. This is an odd question and not one we had talked about maybe covering. AI has been a big advantage for me and even Lee in some of the things that she does. And either she or I will come up with the idea, we'll test it, we'll figure it out. It has saved us countless of hours. Do you have an opinion about AI and have you been utilizing it with your Scale Virtually team?
Absolutely. We are big proponents of AI. We're not going to fight what is, absolutely going to happen. And AI has assisted us in doing our jobs better and more efficiently. The number one thing that's needed with AI is validation. So if you are using AI and you want to make sure that what they come up with will resonate with your branding from a marketing standpoint, you still need a second set of eyes on that to make sure that the two work together. But we use AI in a number of ways. I can give you some of the ways that we use it in property management and in construction. So number one, when I'm expanding into new markets, so I'm expanding my model, my private equity model from Chicago, we're moving into Florida, and then we're looking at other markets. Well, when I got to build my teams in those markets, and price points are different for labor costs and for materials in those markets, I can go in and ask AI. So let me ask you, if we're doing, let's just go, if we're painting, what is the average price point per square foot in this MSA? AI will spit that out. Now my team knows exactly what that is. And we know we want to be 20% below market. So that's what my team's going to target. If we're using that to figure out, well, we just opened this property management company and we're trying to figure out how is the labor pool stacking up against executing in a timely fashion. You can go in and say, how long does it take to replace a toilet? How long does it take to change the locks out on a door? And you can actually get a timeline and then match that up. Now, granted, there's nuances to, there might be other circumstances that lead to that taking a little bit longer, but you can ask questions to figure out if those circumstances actually exist. These are big things for people. When I started my company, I didn't know anything about construction. I was an IT guy that had done sales and marketing for 15 years, and stepping in to try to say, I don't know if this guy's overcharging me or not. There were rates available online, but it's kind of all over the place depending on the websites that you would go to. AI is a huge catalyst in helping us do that right now. In terms of marketing, I think the possibilities are endless because you can take content, repurpose it, get out a lot more content than you could before. So for that reason, I love AI. But we sent our entire operations team, the people that do process engineering, to an AI conference to figure out all the different ways that we could help our clients leverage it into what they're doing. And there's some really cool stuff that our company's doing on that side, like the things that I mentioned to you. Yeah. So we have a lot of private equities that are looking to expand into new markets, and we can help them go and figure out what the labor pool should look like. One of the things that we have is we have all the job descriptions written for hiring people that are boots on the ground for a property management company. We have all the interview questions that you should be asking to figure out if that person's right for the role or not, so that when they actually get moved up to interview somebody stateside, they're pre-qualified. Wow. Do they, are they licensed? Are they bonded? Do they have their own truck? Do they have their own tools? These are common things that people wouldn't ask. And then you get somebody on the job that's not even qualified to do it, and you've just wasted a lot of time. So I don't know, there's a number of different things with AI, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. I feel like our service is ideal to use in combination with AI to give you the efficiency that we're all looking for as business owners. Mm-hmm. It's just figuring out how to intelligently leverage it in your company.
Yeah, perfect. You said something else that struck me as interesting. Your career prior to real estate and investment and that sort of thing that you're focusing on now was marketing and what else?
When I graduated school, I graduated with an IT degree and a business administration degree. And I went into IT for about 1 year. They made me a sales guy, and I kind of never looked back. I was then promoted. I went and worked for a marketing company that was, they started at an email marketing. This is a long, long time ago, where we were one of the top 3 mailers in the world. And that company started a search engine marketing division. They started a banner advertising division. And at a very young age, I became the top salesperson in the company, got to lead all those departments, and really got to learn a lot about business. I then started a number of my own companies that were marketing agencies, where I built out a $2.5 million lead generation platform called LeadJet. And we started competing in the for-profit education space, the mortgage space, the insurance space. So I had huge budgets and had very large clients that I had worked with and did really well in those industries. And that's what parlayed me to getting into real estate, because I wanted to take on that passive income, or at least what I thought was passive.
Yep.
Because real estate sold as passive income. And in my experience, it's anything but that, with the level of administration that you need to do to it in order to make sure you secure your asset and it actually performs. So that's what I wanted to do. And, in hindsight, we've done between 600 and 700 units of construction in the last 10 to 12 years. We're pacing at doing 100 acquisitions a year right now. So where I started and where I'm at are very different places, and where we're going is actually very different now that we're moving into other markets. So exciting stuff.
For sure, exciting, and super impressed by who you are and the way in which you educate as we're in this conversation. I had no idea who was sitting behind the CEO seat with Scale Virtually. This all came to be because I think it was Paul maybe who reached out as a client of Scale Virtually's and said, "Hey, we'd love to get a video testimonial from you about Lee and your work together." I said, absolutely. But one of the things that I'd like to do, is have somebody from your C-suite come on and do an interview so that we can learn more about you all together. Had no idea it would be this rich of a conversation. And my mind is just running with all the books and the folks that I've had an opportunity to interview around business and strategy. Clearly, you're setting the pace with your own professional and personal experience. So thank you for sharing your life, your expertise and wisdom the way that you do, by building a team who duplicates, again, everything that we need under the sun as it relates to business in all different areas of business. What haven't I thought to ask Sean about Scale Virtually that would be important for our listeners to know?
Let me see. Well, I guess it's really figuring out where you want to go with your own business. So I could take you through what it's like to get on a call with us. And this is something that I want to say. Me trying to communicate the importance of process is one thing, but me actually doing a demo for you, or one of our team members doing a demo for you to show you how sophisticated what we do actually is a game changer. It is night and day. Every day I get on the phone and people go, "Sean, I thought this was a VA service. This is incredible. This is so much more than I thought it was going to be. You guys are building businesses.
Yes.
You are putting all the structure in place that we don't have, that we know we need, and we don't know how to do it." So that is the major difference that I would say, if I was really going to hit it home, anybody who's looking to get a free consultation on how you can scale your company to 2 to 3x, go to scalevirtually.com and sign up for a free consultation. What I will do is I'll take you through the following questions. I'm going to want to know, what are your goals for your business? What are the obstacles that are in the way right now? What are the biggest challenges that you're facing? And then we're going to tackle solving those with you in real time. And then we're going to show you systematically how we would go about doing that. And then we're going to help put you in a position to start scaling your business so you can achieve your time and financial goals. That's what I love to do. And I have to credit a lot of the people that I've been fortunate to work with. I invest in a ton of coaching. I belong to, I don't even know how many masterminds across the country in different disciplines. I'm constantly learning and innovating on how to make not only our business better, but the clients that we work with, their businesses better. And there's just so much knowledge that I've gained over the last 5 years of being in the room with really, really smart people that I'm able to bring to the businesses that we work with, and we're able to systematize it. There's not too many companies out there, like this is the way we like to define ourselves. There are VA companies out there, but we look at ourselves like an outsourced COO. So we're going to come in, we're going to take a look at what you're doing operationally. We're going to identify the gaps. We're going to do an audit of what you would like us to audit. And then we're going to systematize efficiency, reporting, and then delegation so that we can start really building a growth plan for you to get all the admin level work out of the way. Karen, let me ask you this. How many entrepreneurs do you know that are doing work for $10 or $11 an hour that they shouldn't be doing? The number one thing that you learn when you go into executive coaching with high level people that are making millions of dollars a year is they have mastered the skill of understanding how to delegate. And the first thing that I've done when I went into Dan Sullivan, when I've gone into my GoBros event, is they say, how are you currently spending your time? Take a look at a full week, fully documented. And I've done this with several of the entrepreneurs that I've worked with that are like, Sean, I really don't know what I need. Well, it's like, let's do this. I want you to write out a list of everything you hate doing and everything you think you should delegate. And I want you to get that down on paper. Come back to me with that information. And what we'll do for you is we'll systematize you not having to do it anymore. And we'll get that in someone else's hands. So imagine if you're doing $10 an hour work, and you're the leader of your company, you are doing your company a huge disservice because you need to be leveraging that brain power for strategic growth and leadership and management of your team, and looking at your reporting and strategizing and solving the real problems of your business, not things at the task level. If there's one thing I could leave entrepreneurs with, it would be that.
Mic drop. Yeah, that's great wisdom. I'm sure our listeners and viewers are nodding their heads and perhaps feeling some of the pain points that you've discussed, no matter where they are in their trajectory for their business success. What is that? There's original consultation first. Describe maybe onboarding or this getting to know you process when someone reaches out and says, hey, I really want to look into this. What is that like, and how quickly is that that getting to know you period?
Yeah, what I'd like to touch on is the most common reasons entrepreneurs come to us. If you're overwhelmed, ask yourself these questions. Are you doing work right now that you know you shouldn't be doing? If you can't figure out the system to delegate that, we'd love to talk to you. How would you rank your operational procedure 1 out of 10? Because no matter where you're at, we can get you to a 10 out of 10. That is the catalyst for growth. So that is where I would start in figuring out if you're overwhelmed, if you don't know how to hire, if you don't know how to put good systems in place, we are the ideal company to talk to, because once you see what we have set up, the proof is in the pudding. I can show you system after system after system that we've built in all the different disciplines out there. And this isn't like smoke and mirrors of like you work with a company and you're like, I expected this result and I got a different one. When people work with us, I consistently hear, this is way more than I thought we were going to get. And the number one way that we've grown our company is we get 3 to 5 referrals. Kyle referred you to us. He's been amazing at referring us to a ton of different entrepreneurs that are signing up with us. So that's the part that I am as an owner. I could be a coach if I wanted to be a coach. I love the fact of getting in someone's business and really helping it grow. That to me is what like fuels my fire on how to leverage what our company is capable of. On the coaching side, I love the fact that we have a 90% retention rate. If you go into the coaching businesses, they're like 3 to 5%. I want to make sure that what we do has true impact with the entrepreneurs that we work with. And with the ones that are really ready to take this on, we want to be a partner with you until you sell your company for millions of dollars, right? That's what we're looking to do.
That's big. So business development keeps running through my brain, right? When I think that a business owner is ready to hire a virtual assistant, they may not necessarily think of it through the lens of business development. They think of it, I need to get this off my plate, this project, these tasks, whatever it is. And maybe I don't want to pay somebody full time, whatever it is, that whole thought process. What you're saying is, there's so much more that you can do. This is really a business development arm of your business. And it runs into every other areas of business, whether it's finance and it's marketing and human resources and hiring. You market, you just do it all.
100%. One of the things that we commonly get is, Sean, I don't think I have enough work for a virtual assistant to do. And I said, well, let me tell you, I built this company with LinkedIn automation. So I had VAs sending out 100 outbounds to a day. I had 2 sales guys on, and VAs were just literally farming people online. We systematized the cadence of people getting interested in our company, us automating the messages that went back, the VAs booking them into a calendar, and that's how we started growing. So I've done lead gen, as I've stated before, at a very high level with the most sophisticated verticals that are out there. So if you came to me and you're like, I need 3 ideas on how I could grow my company, I could come up with those on the fly just like that, just based on my experience being in helping other businesses do the same thing. And if you have VAs that are doing a little bit of ops work, what we could do is systematize outreach to win more clients for you. So what if you're an agent? What if you're a real estate agent and you have 2,000 people in your database and you haven't cleaned your database in 7 years? And out of those 2,000 people, maybe 12 to 1,300 of them are still good, but you're not consistently touching those people. What if we systematized a VA doing that for you, where they were sending out like the happy birthday cards and, the holiday cards, and then reaching out to them once a quarter to say, hey, Karen just wanted me to reach out to you to see how things are going. We're wondering if you're in the market to buy or sell a home. No, you're not? Okay, thank you so much. Well, if that changes, please let us know. By the way, do you know anybody who it is? So this is where we take it. We optimize every little thing. That second question might get someone to say yes that another company is not going to think of. And that's where we're pretty strategic in making sure we extract all the value out of a lead. To make sure we uncover every opportunity that could be had. And then we could systematize text messaging and email marketing so that those things that might not be happening in your business now are. And then your VA pays for itself by 3 to 4 times because they are a lead gen machine for you and they're doing your ops work. Now, the truth be told is you want to have specialized roles in your company. But when you're just getting started, the way that I communicate to companies is, whatever the core 3 things that you want that VA to be exceptional at, make sure that we target for that avatar. But anybody can send out an email. Anybody can send out a text message. Anybody can get on the phone and ask 2 questions and try to schedule a Calendly. Like those things are easy to do, and they don't require high-level salesmanship to do that. They just require someone to do it. So that's the type of stuff that we like to bring in to make sure. I want to see every entrepreneur that we work with be very, very successful. And I want a system in place that is going to help them grow their business. And if we can get the ops work out of the way, and then they start growing so much that they need finance help and then they need more marketing help, our interests are aligned. I want to help every company scale because it's just going to come back to us when they need more help to grow their business. And quite frankly, we're the most cost efficient way to do that. This is one thing that I realized as an entrepreneur. I think my companies would have grown exponentially 2 to 3 times faster than they did if global talent was available back 20 years ago when I was building my businesses. Why? The affordability. The number one thing that held me back from growing my companies is I had to make enough money to afford that next hire, then to afford that next hire. When you're bootstrapping, this is the number one way to get way ahead. And I would argue if you go at it alone and you try to hire your own VA, you might reach the same issues that I did where you can't hire right, you hire the wrong person, and that will just stunt your growth over the long term. If you could get like the proven track record in place with the system in place right out of the gate, and it's easier and it's done for you, for me, it feels like a no-brainer. The only thing that I am, conscious of is if someone just doesn't have the money to do this, you got to start where you got to start. But if you do, this is the number one catalyst to growth that you can put in a place that's done for you right out of the gate.
Wow. Again, for our viewers and listeners, Scale Virtually CEO Sean Connolly, how do we get started with you guys? We just reach out through the website and schedule a discovery call. What does that look like?
So you can email me at Sean, SEAN, @scalevirtually.com. If you were to go into my web, that might be a better area. We're booking up I know that we just did a couple conferences, so my schedule might be a couple weeks out, but we might be able to get you in with another consultant of ours. That would be the easiest way. And I know you had asked before, like what the process looks like, so I can go into that a little bit.
Yeah, please.
The first step in our process is that we will do this in this initial consultation. We'll identify the role and the task that we want to delegate. If you don't have all that flushed out, don't worry about it. That's what we're here for, is to kind of help you do that. So a lot of people get paralysis analysis and they're like, well, I don't know if I have enough. It doesn't matter. When we get you into our process engineering, they're going to ask every question that it's going to enable them to build out everything that they need to, so that that person actually has a full schedule of stuff to do that they self-report to you. So in the first 2 weeks of working with our company, we're going to identify all the work that needs to get done. We're going to screenshot it. We're going to develop all of your operational procedure, and that's going to be done in a comprehensive manner. There's 3 60 to 90 minute meetings where we kind of iterate and we collaborate with you to do that. Going on to week 3, we have we're going to provide you 3 candidates that are ideally suited to do the job based on skill set and personality profile. And then we're going to give you a resume, a disc profile, and an introductory video so you can hear their communication skills. Week 4, we're going to take them back into training where they review all the documentation that we created for you, and we get all their logistics set up, like their phone, their email, their computer. Week 5, time to scale, baby. That's when you get your VA and they come on, join your team. And we want it to be a win-win-win for everybody. The number one way that you can make sure, and I can see that you're doing this, I can see that Kyle's doing this, is treat that person like any other member of your team. Include them in meetings. If you guys have a company party, send them a lunch, send them a 6-pack. If it's a party, include them in what you're doing. Just imagine if you were, working remotely, how can you integrate them to make them feel like they're really part of something special? People need that. And if you take the effort to do that, they're going to feel that, and they're going to perform better for you. They're going to stick around longer for you. They're going to want to win with you. So again, we want to win for the client. We also want to win for the VA. And that's really important to our company.
I have not had this experience because Lee literally has been a godsend for me. However, when I first started having these conversations with Scale Virtually, I was a little worried. Like, again, if I go training this person and you not promised, but you've, almost guaranteed that I'm going to have the right person, but I'm not sure that that's the case. What happens when I've trained them and then they leave Scale Virtually, or they're assigned to somebody else? A little concerned about that. And that goes back to what you said around building the process as we go. Everything's documented, everything's there, so that if for some reason that were to happen, that everything is ready to go, and that transition would be very easy between the Scale Virtually team and who's ever assigned to us. I might be not explain that correctly, so fill in the gaps where I need to. My experience has been, again, that Lee from the very beginning, jumped in, created process, would poke around corners, bring research back to me, ask if there was an area that she could pick up and run with us for us. And you had spoken to this also earlier, Sean. I wasn't ready for somebody full time, and that made me a little nervous. Your team assured me in that interview process, and we were building out, how would this work for me, and customizing it for Business RadioX specifically, that I could have that person grow with me, and that's exactly what's happened.
That's awesome. Well, that's, for me, my team is amazing. Like, I have to give all the credit in the world to them. My favorite call is literally 3 weeks after somebody onboards with me. I usually get to schedule a call with who I onboarded and ask them how it went. And I get to feel the validation of how good my team is. They make, they do an incredible job at the process side of things. They do an incredible job finding the talent to put in and they make people feel really comfortable, right? Like, we literally walk you through what the success path is going to look like to get you to be able to scale and really leverage that person in a full-time capacity. And you mentioned, you stated, I was going to say, you're ready to work for Scale Virtually if you ever need another job, because the way that you stated it was exactly the way I would state it. The biggest problem when you lose somebody is you got to start all over, and it takes all of your time to invest in building up the next person. Mm-hmm. What if it's already all documented? Because that's the part. And what if it's done with a structure that is precise and optimized to deliver that value right away? Because I know, as much as I like to think I'm a great trainer, I forget things all the time when I'm going from person to person to person. It's not documented, and the structure is not really well thought out. But if that's done one time, it's seamless. You lose your VA, and our VAs are required to give us a 30-day window so that they could train the replacement. Now, that doesn't always happen, but it's built into what we do to give you, as the entrepreneur, your time. So you're not building up the next person. You're going to have to build the same relationship you did with the first person, but you have a huge advantage in that all you got to do is walk them through the operational procedure that we've already documented for you. So it's not like you got to show up and think through and document all that. That prevents a lot of people from even getting started because they haven't done that yet. We do that for you. So the other thing is there is no cost. If you need a replacement, we're here to replace. It's, in business, there's going to be people who leave for various reasons, no matter what those reasons are. I feel like we put you in the best position to win because not only can we get the existing person to train the next person, we have all the operational procedure there, and we have 50 people on the bench at all times. So it's just a next man up mentality. And in business today, a lot of people are moving on. We have a great tenure with our organization, and a large part of that is due to the culture that we built. That's why we heavily invest in our people, our systems, our training, so that people don't want to leave and they want to stay with the entrepreneurs. And we vet entrepreneurs too. There's a lot of clients that we turn away from our company if we determine that you're not going to be a good manager and that you're disrespectful to one of our team members. That's something that we don't put up with as a company either. As I stated, we're very serious about the win-win mentality, and we've let go several clients that we made a mistake on allowing to come in to work with our virtual assistants.
That leads to the question that I was thinking about earlier about asking who's not a good fit for you. So a manager, a business owner who really doesn't value relationships and value maybe process and procedures and even success. That's where I'm going with that last statement of yours. Who else is not a great fit?
Well, we tend to need entrepreneurs to make north of at least $125,000 to be able to afford bringing this type of service on. Now, if you're doing that across a number of businesses and we can see that you're growth minded, you have a growth mindset, and you're definitely going to grow, you just need systems and people, we'll consider that. But if you're not doing that and it's been over a series of years, we don't want to take on anybody that's not going to work out long term, and it's for both you and us to make the right decision. I would say if you're not a good manager, but you have the intention to be a good manager, you're still a good fit, because we can give you the manual on how to manage your VA. And I'll tell you, if you work with your VA for 2 to 3 hours for the first 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to uncover about 80% of the nuance in the job. And then that person is going to know how to operate without you. Where it really goes wrong is people have this mentality. I'm paying only $10 an hour for this. It's not all that important. I got other things that I'm working on. They don't make this like the way I think about it when I had my first VA. This person can literally change my life and be a second me. I got to invest as much time and effort into this person to recreate how I do work within them to give myself the business catalyst for growth. If you do that, you'll get the value. But if you know inherently you're mean and not nice to people, we would prefer not to work with you. We would really want to work with good people that really have a model that they believe in, that do good work, and that treat everybody with respect. As long as you have those fundamental tenets and pillars in the way that you do business, we'd love the opportunity to figure out how we can work together.
So good. Sean, this has been fantastic. I've learned so much about Scale Virtually and you, of course, and all that much more excited about having Lee on my team and really wanting to continue to find the win-win. We talk a lot about my dreams as a business owner, where I'm headed, and she's become a great cheerleader for that, and really the reason why we're on the success track that we are. So thank you so much for sharing your family and your team with me. One more time, this is Sean Conley with Scale Virtually. And your guys' website is just scalevirtually.com. I'm looking to see. I don't even remember. Yeah, scalevirtually.com. We can find Sean and Scale Virtually on LinkedIn as well. Are you guys showing up in social media, other platforms as well?
Yes, we're on Facebook, Instagram, probably soon to be X. But we have a big social media push that's about to happen, but we can be found. The best way to get a hold of us, though, is just to go to scalevirtually.com. We have our phone number there as well. In addition to that, my email address is sean@scalevirtually.com. If you email me there, we'll figure out the best way we can get together and connect and help you scale virtually.
Awesome. Oh, love it. And one last question, the logo. You've got your Scale Virtually shirt on. Is there some significance behind the logo?
There is. It's actually building blocks. So, you start out here and then the next block and then the next block and the next block. And we like to we can meet people at different phases of growth and take them, to a new phase of growth. So it's all building blocks.
I also thought of the ripple effect, right? Throwing that pebble in the pond and having it expand. We will talk about exponential growth and the way in which Scale Virtually helps businesses do that. So thank you for that last little golden nugget. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean virtual assistants. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening. Thanks again, Sean.
Thank you so much, Karen.